Welcome to today's Explainer. I gotta tell you, I am absolutely thrilled you're here, because today we are exploring something truly extraordinary. We're gonna dive into the insights from this fascinating imaginary symposium, a gathering of some of history's greatest thinkers, writers, and spiritual leaders, that reveals exactly why human beings are fundamentally wired for connection. We're gonna look at how our absolute highest highs and our lowest lows are completely transformed by the simple presence of another person.
So let's jump right into this with the core question driving our whole explainer today. What if joy was never meant to be kept alone and sorrow was never meant to be carried alone? It's a pretty profound truth, isn't it? Hiding our joy actually makes it smaller. It shrinks it right down. And on the flip side, hiding our sorrow makes it exponentially heavier. Today, we're going to unpack exactly why that happens and, more importantly, how we can change it.
Here is our roadmap for today's expanding circle of connection. 1. The mystery of joy. 2. The healing gift of shared sorrow. 3. Loneliness in modern success. 4. Family as our first school. And 5. Bearing one another's burdens. Let's get to it.
Part 1. The mystery of joy and why happiness grows when witnessed. Think about it for a second. When a little kid draws a picture, or when your best friend gets an amazing new job offer, what is the immediate, undeniable instinct? It instantly demands to be shared. You immediately pick up the phone, or you literally run to show someone.
Fred Rogers offers such a brilliant insight here. He points out that joy doesn't just want an audience to blindly clap for it. What joy really truly craves is a safe harbor. It wants someone to look at you and simply say, "I see you." When someone receives your joy with a sincere heart, they're the ones who give that joy its ultimate fully realized shape.
But hey, let's be real, sharing happiness isn't always easy, is it? We constantly battle jealousy, which, as Maya Angelou pointed out, often stems from our own deep hunger to be seen. Then there's our pride, as C.S. Lewis noted, constantly whispering, well, why not me? And for a lot of us, like Brené Brown explains, we fear the vulnerability of joy simply because we grew up in a state of emotional scarcity. Overcoming these barriers, actually learning to clap for others without feeling threatened or diminished by their success, that is a vital mark of emotional maturity.
C.S. Lewis really captures this perfectly. Joy is a flame. When you finally make room for another soul in your gladness, you aren't giving away your light. No way. You are actually brightening the room for everyone. But, life isn't just about those bright moments. So let's shift our focus and see what happens when the lights go out.
Part 2. The gift of shared sorrow, lightening the load of grief. Now, I want to deliberately slow down our pace just a bit here, because we're touching on a really sacred truth. When pain strikes, whether it's a huge loss, a major failure, or a devastating diagnosis, the isolation wrapped around that wound is very often way heavier than the wound itself. This brilliantly illustrates the difference between what we often do and what we actually should do. The contrast is stark. Offering advice applies all this pressure to move fast. It tries to logically explain the pain away, mostly because the person observing is just really uncomfortable. But presence? Presence just listens. It stays near. What a grieving soul needs isn't clever answers. They just need faithful, humble company.
So, what does a helpful presence actually look like in the real world? Well, it's about humble service, bringing over some soup, answering the phone, without seeking any kind of medal for it. It's about honoring their dignity, and as Henri Nouwen puts it, connecting your own wounded heart directly to theirs. True compassion doesn't try to fix the unfixable. It simply stays.
I really want you to absorb this profound observation from Viktor Frankl. Sharing sorrow doesn't erase the grave. It doesn't magically undo the loss. The pain absolutely remains. But having a soul nearby prevents that darkness from totally, absolutely consuming us. Because of them, we are no longer standing alone in the dark.
Section 3. Loneliness in modern success. Praised in public, unseen in private. Let's zoom out and see how this builds at a societal level. We are right in the middle of a modern crisis of success. Today, it's entirely possible for someone to be constantly applauded by thousands, followed by millions online, and yet remain profoundly, painfully isolated.
Charlie Chaplin knew this exact lived experience intimately. He gave us this haunting quote, "There is a kind of loneliness that wears a smile." Think about it. An audience might absolutely adore the character you play on the stage or on the screen, but applause cannot hold your hand at midnight when the curtain falls and the crowds all go home. Just think about how our digital spaces have totally trained us to perform. Performed happiness seeks a quick reaction, it edits out all the flaws to protect the shiny image. But true shared joy, that seeks a real relationship. It invites trust and requires us to finally put the mask down.
And this brings us to a really critical distinction. Attention is easy. It's a casual glance, a double tap on a post. It focuses purely on the surface. But companionship has a memory. It remembers what you said last year. It stays steady and safe when you inevitably fail, and when the stage totally fades away. It loves the actual person, not the performance.
All right, Section 4, Family the First School, where we learn about multiplying joy and dividing sorrow. So where do we first learn to navigate all of this stuff? Well, our homes are our original training grounds. It's where we learn from a very, very young age whether our authentic emotions, our real joys, and our deep sorrows are actually welcome.
How do families actually manage to multiply joy and divide sorrow? By building resilience through small, repeated acts of daily faithfulness, just like Louisa May Alcott talked about. As Gary Chapman shows us, we have to translate our love into a language our family members can actually receive. And, as Pearl S. Buck noted, we've got to join our practical duties like paying the bills and making dinner with deep emotional compassion to create a true, lasting safety net.
And you know, a huge part of that safety net is how we handle our history. As Laura Ingalls Wilder beautifully noted, family memory is a bridge. When we share our stories of endurance, of surviving the long, harsh winters of life, families can carry the weight of memory together, without forcing the next generation to just repeat the painful silences of the past.
And finally, Section 5, Bearing One Another's Burdens, the spiritual meaning of shared life. Let's expand this circle out to its ultimate universal level. What does it actually mean for human beings to take responsibility for one another in the broader community? What's the spiritual meaning of our shared life?
The wisdom of global spiritual traditions points to one undeniable, powerful truth. We are deeply, completely interdependent. Whether it's Jesus teaching that love comes near in both joy and weeping, Paul's vision that humanity is one single body, where a wound to one is a wound to all, Bonhoeffer's strict reminder that true community requires costly love, or Thich Nhat Hanh's realization that deep listening literally softens the separation between us, it all points to the same thing.
Desmond Tutu just absolutely hammers home the central truth of our entire explainer with this arresting quote. I want you to really hear this. If I cannot celebrate your rising, my love is too small. If I cannot grieve your falling, my love is too thin. Refusing to carry another person's burden doesn't just isolate them, it literally cuts the roots of our very own humanity.
Which brings us to our ultimate working definition of love for today. Love is the profound realization that you do not have to carry either your joy or your sorrow alone. When we share the carrying, love moves from just being some abstract concept into a physical, living reality.
I want to leave you with this final, lingering thought. The lonely heart constantly asks, "Who will see me?" And love answers simply, "I am here." So as you finish this explainer and head back out into your day, I have a challenge for you. Who are you showing up for today? Who can you be that safe harbor for? Thank you so much for exploring this with me today. See you next time.